Hello everyone. So now we are going to start constitution provision of civil services. Constitutional provision of civil and services. Civil services are India refer to the permanent bureaucracy of the government of India. The civil service system is backbone of administrative machinery and present modern civil service of India is a legacy of the empirical civil service of British India. It was formed after independence 1947 from British India. It was Sardar Patel vision that the civil service should strengthen cohesion and national unity. So he wanted to strong and vibrant federal administration system in which the all India service would play an important role. True to this conviction, the civil service have provided the framework for the administration of the country. The values, integrity, impartiality, merit remain the guiding principle, and the member of civil service at the pleasure of President of India under Article 311 of the Constitution protect the civil services. So, Article 3, as we discussed yesterday, cake is not on the pleasure of the president, but civil service is of the pleasure of the President of India. And 311 of Constitution of India deal with the dismissal, removal, reduction in rank of person employed in civil service under the union or the state. No person who is member of the civil service of union or an all India service of civil service of state or holds a civil post under the union or state shall dismiss or removed by the authority subordinate to that by which he was appointed. If he was appointed by the secretary, then he will be removed by the secretary, not by the subordinate to him. No such person as aforesaid shall be dismissed or removed or reduced in rank except after an inquiry in which he has been informed of the charges against him. So first there will be an inquiry and their charges against him will be specified and given a reasonable opportunity of being heard. So he will given an opportunity to being heard in respect of those charges provided that were where it is proposed after such inquiry. To impose upon him any such penalty may be imposed on the basis of evidence adduced during such inquiry, and it shall not be necessary to give such person any opportunity of making representation on the penalty proposed. So provided further that this clause shall not be applied. So where a person is dismissed or removed or reduced in a rank of ground of conduct which has led to his conviction on the criminal charges. So criminal charges will be there if he is reducing the rank, is removed the rank or dismissed in his position. Where the authority empowered to dismiss or remove a person or reduce him in a rank satisfied that for such reason, like they are satisfying that the reason is appropriate, and authority in written it is not reasonably practicable to hold such inquiry. So recorded by that authority in writing. It will be in writing that reasonably practicable to hold such inquiry, and wherever the president or the governor, as the case may be, is satisfied that it is interest of security of the state, it is not expedient to hold such inquiry. So if there is a reasonable ground like security of state is undermined, then that inquiry will be held. If in respect of any such person as aforesaid a question arise whether it is reasonably practicable to hold such inquiry as it referred to clause 2, the decision thereon of the authority empowered to dismiss or remove such person or to reduce him in rank shall be final. And after the inquiry, the dismissal of the person, removal of the person shall be like there, and the decision will be final. Article 312 is provide for the creation of All India Service. An All India Service is different from both the central and state service, and an All India Service can created only if the Council of State declared by the resolution supported by not less than 2 by third majority that it is necessary in the national interest to create one or more such All India services. Originally, there were only two All India services, okay, namely the Indian Administrative Service and Police Service. Then legislature was enacted 1962 for the establishment of third All India Service. These are Indian Service for Engineering, Indian Forest Service, and Indian Medical Service. Only Indian Forest Service was accepted as a All India Service, and the rest modern India Forest Service was established in 1966 under the All India Service Act 1951, and all in all there are three All India services. Okay, now civil service recruitment, how recruitment is the procedure is in civil service. So the All India Service Act All India Service Act 1951 empowered the Government of India to make, after consultation with the government, state government rules for the regulation, recruitment, condition of service of the person appointed to an All India service. So there will be IAS and IPS for recruitment through direct recruitment. There will be a competition exam. Okay, competition exams and Union and Public Service Commission, promotion from the member of the state civil service, and it can be promoted by the state civil service also. The scheme of direct recruitment evolved in 1979. UPSC used to conduct a combined competitive examination. Like prior to 1971, 9 the UPSC conduct the combined competitive examination, IAS, IPS, Central Service Class 1 and Class 2. Okay, there will be age shall be 21 to 26, and there was relaxation given to SC ST candidate. Before that, this was the rule. Then 1974, the UPSC appointed a committee on recruitment selection method under the championship of DS Kothari, District Kothari. Okay, DS Kothari, which submitted report 1976. DS Kothari report. An examination was changed to phase preliminary examination and mains examination, and introduced to weed out the less fit candidate and reducing the number of applicants to manageable limits. So Kothari committee recommended for the age limit 21 to 26. The age limit was 28 year. After the government, the age limit matters may and reduce the upper limit 26 year. However, because of demands from various section of society, the upper age limit was 28 year. The candidate have the choice to answer the general study and optional paper also, language literature, either in English or in language included in 8th schedule of the constitution. Then Satish Chandra Commission. Satish Chandra, former UGC chairman, was constituted the review evaluate system of selection, and committee reported 1989, and Government of India implemented some recommendation like there shall be an essay paper in the mains examination, so test the candidate linguistic skills, capacity for comprehension, ability for critical analytical integrating thinking and assimilating idea, clarity of expression. So committee also recommended increasing the marks from interview marks from 250 to 300. This is implemented in 1993 onwards. So now there is a preliminary exam, 150 marks. Before that there was general study and 300 marks for the list of optional one subject to be selected. Then after then this is now 200 and 200 marks. Okay, and there shall be 5 papers for general studies and 2 for optional and 1 for interview. Okay, and 1 for essay paper. So this is all about. Then 7-member committee of expert Yoginder Alag, former Union Minister and Vice Chancellor of Jawaharlal Nehru University, was set up the Union Public Service Commission to look into the state of civil service. The committee deal with the eligibility parameter and describe characteristic of candidate in terms of knowledge, skill, attitude, modality, and identify the most suitable candidate. So it found serious deficiency in the system recruitment. The committee submitted reports to the UPSC. The preliminary examination, then recruitment and training of civil servants should be long-term exercise, and servants should be exposed to field-oriented development activities, so they remain in touch with the people at grassroots level, ability to work closely with civil society, and civil service in context, diminishing role of state providing direct economic service, growing importance economics and social sector, growing scarcity of non-renewable resources, need to be protect vulnerable group, and now commitment to high standard of ethics to service nation. Many other breaches the code of professional conduct and entered into an unethical symbolic pact of convenience and mutual accommodation with influential political and business interests. So posting and transferring have become a tool in hand of political executive to force civil servant to comply with the dictates. So ARC report 2005 amended for the change in civil service examination, and ARC has suggested UPSC should only keep 2 compulsory GS paper, AC paper for mains exam. It's also suggested about the finally leadership of Chairman DP Agarwal change the civil service examination. And then preliminary examination, new pattern of preliminary examination was came, and there is paper A, paper B, 200 marks. Okay, and 250 for essay paper, general study 250, geography like general study 250, and total marks 1715 and 275 marks for interview. So this was whole procedure. So grand total was, before that interview was given 20 like general study paper weightage of marks 49% from 26%, and it was 26%, and now it is 50% approximately. So this is the recruitment. Now we are going to discuss about the training and capacity building. Training administration has been recognized as an important instrument of administration change in most developing country. So need to improve the capability for the capability and for because no matter how well qualified person may be at the time of recruitment, he still have certain inadequacies and therefore much to learn from becoming a really efficient civil servant. In fact, there is absolute no doubt that training and capacity building enhance the performance and of the administration, thereby improving the overall performance. So objective of training is keeping up to date, enhancing professional knowledge, skill, and promoting better understanding requirement, as well as sensitizing professional socio-economic political environment, right attitudinal orientation. So there is a Labasta, they got training there in Missouri. Okay, and Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy of the Administration, India's premier institution, are dedicated to the training officer. Foundation course is conducted for the officer trainee to infuse a sense of public service. This course acts as a bridge between the word college education and governance. It allows the new recruit to understand the nitty-gritty of the administration and develop the team spirit and leadership. So in extracurricular, there is trekking, festival and village tour, and a work course, elementary law, economics and public administration. The course is conducted free 15 week, and week are dedicated for extracurricular activities, festival, trekking, festival, village tour. 12 week are used providing training in work course, elementary law, economics, public administration, management, Constitution of India, history, culture. Training program for development minimum knowledge and skill. After completion of 20-week training, they given the 52-week sandwich program. Here an officer is made aware of state law, socio-economic condition, revenue, administration, history, culture, language. And after 24 and 52-week district administrative training, a 6 weeks training for practical knowledge gain in phase 1 academy. Then mid-career training is also given. So demand of dynamics of the today, it allow officer to learn new skills required echelon of the officer. It also provide officer for opportunity to acquire knowledge of new section may be assigned from time to time. Thus the officer can develop job competency for the new job and test the presence of attribute required for new promoted assigned job, thereby helping superior officer to assess the suitability of the promotion. Summary of the capacity building is what? Every government servant should undergo a mandatory training. Induction stage. First of all, induction stage. Then mandatory induction training should be prescribed Group D staff also before they are assigned. A monitoring mechanism should be set up overseeing the implementation of national training policy. Practice of having common foundation course. So Group A, Generalist, Specialist and Technical should continue. Group B, C, Institute of Secretariat Training Management may be developed. Then all civil servants should undergo mandatory training or promotion. Each officer should be evaluated after each training program. The objective of mid-tenure and career training should be to develop domain knowledge and competence required for the changing job, and mid-career learning opportunities relevant to specific domain or specialization. The composition of governing body. National training institutes such as Labasna, Indira Gandhi National Forest Academy, and SPVNPA, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel National Academy. The state administrative training institute should be broadened by inducting eminent expert, empowered to enable them to discharge their function efficiently. National Institute of Good Governance was set up, upgrading one of the existing national state institution to identify the document and disseminate best practice and also conduct the training program. So this was the complete training program. Now code of conduct. Code of conduct, it is defined as a set of value and principle help guide behavior, choice, action. It helps to decide whether one's action are right or wrong. Organization as well as individual have ethical standard. These standard can help reasonability and making decision. They also ensure member of the organization consistent appropriate behavior toward one another and towards clients and outside the organization. So, allegiance of the various ideals enshrined in the preamble of the Constitution: a political function, good governance, betterment of the people, primary goal to the civil service, duty to act as a objectivity, impartiality, accountability, transparency in the decision making. Merit should be criteria in selection, and however, with the cultural, ethical, and diversion of nation, ensuring economy and avoidance of wastage of expenditure, providing the healthy and congestional work environment, communication, consultation, cooperation, and performance of function. So this is the civil servant has specified obligation because they are responsible for the managing resources entrusted to them, because they provide deliver service for community, and because they take important decisions. Like Australia, New Zealand, UK have established a set of principle guide civil servant behavior. A legally enforced code of conduct setting out standard of behavior expected of those working in the civil service. UK, following the recommendation of Nolan Committee reports and Civil Service Code incorporated in the force of 1996. So, compendium instrument do's and don'ts was issued and collectively called the Conduct Rules. Conduct Rules in 1955. Central Service Rules 1964. Analogous rule applicable to member of All India Service employee of various state government. The code behavior enunciated conduct rules while containing some general norms, maintaining integrity, absolute devotion to duty, and not indulging in conduct upcoming of the government servant, is generally directed toward cataloging the specific activities. These conduct rules do not constitute a code of ethics. So the draft bill also envisages a public service code, public service management code, laying down more specifically duty, responsibility, no violation of the code, and punishment akin to the current major and minor penalties by the heads of the institution. A public service authority is also advised to oversee the implementation of codes and values. The Commission has decided that detailed examination of the proposed draft bill will be appropriately made in forthcoming report. So this is the whole conduct rules. Now we are going to discuss about the grievance redressal. Grievance redressal mechanism. Grievance redressal mechanism is a part and parcel of the machinery of any administration. No administration can claim to be accountable, responsive, and user friendly unless it has established an efficient and effective grievance redressal mechanism. So, organizes the gauge to measure the efficiency, effectiveness, and provides important feedbacks also. The grievance redressal mechanism may be through legislature, executive, or non-state mechanism. In executive mechanism, the grievance redressal agency, central government handling these grievance, Department of Administrative Reform, Public Grievance, Ministry of Personnel and Pension, Directorate of Public Grievance, and Cabinet Secretary of Directorate of Public Grievance. So these are some machineries. The Department of Administrative Reforms and Public Grievance is nodal agency. It's a nodal agency for policy making of public grievance. The department has issued the following important guideline to the ministry and department, central government, for handling the grievance redressal and to strengthen the grievance redressal machinery. So more responsive to needs of the pupil. In order to achieve this, all ministry and the department are required to designate a senior officer, a director of public grievance officer in every office, including all organization under them. Observe every Wednesday as a meeting less day in a central secretariat officer, when director of public grievance should be available at their desks from 1000 hours to 1300 hours to receive and Here, public grievance, field level officer having contact with the public have also to declare one day in the week. Then deal with every grievance in a fair, objective, and just manner. Analyze the public grievance received to help identification of the grievance prone area. Which modification of policies and procedures could be undertaken with a view to making delivery of services easier and more expeditious. Issue booklets, pamphlets about the schemes available to the public, indicating the procedure, manner in which these can be unveiled, and rightly authority to be contract services or grievance redressal authority. Pick up the grievance appearing in newspaper columns which relate to them to take remedial action. Strengthen the machinery for redress the public grievance through the strict observing meeting and Wednesday, displaying name, designation, room number, telephone number, director of grievance at the reception and other convenient place, placing a locked complaint box and giving more publicity about the grievance redressal. Set up staff grievance redressal machinery and state staff grievance redressal officer include the public grievance work, receipt disposal and relating to redress public grievances in the annual action plan and annual administration report. Fix the time limits for the disposal of the work relating to the public grievance. Inform the complaints the name, designation, office telephone number and the time frame in which the final repay will be sent. Constitute lok adalat is not already constituted. The hold them every quaternary. Quicker disposal of public staff grievance. Constitute a social audit panel if not already constituted, examining the areas of the public interest which is viewed to recommending the essential changes. Establish a single window system and public contact whether possible, and notify the MTML about the directory entire pertaining to public grievance. Issue a reasonable and speaking reply for the grievance. Quarterly progress reports regarding the receipt and disposal of grievance received and disposal machinery ministry under should be monitored in joint secretary or director, and each ministry should prepare a consolidated directory of officers and responsibility in the ministry and organization should give wide publicity, then focus attention on analysis of public grievance to identify grievance prone areas, implement systematic changes to reduce the grievance, brochures and pamphlets prepared by various ministries. Citizen level satisfaction should be measured, and in order to make the grievance redressal more effective, careful analysis decision on grievance to be taken fairly, forwarding the grievance to the departments of the concern, reply to complaint, informing detail authorities and obtaining the replies and reasonable reply to complainants, and place citizen charter and organization under them. These are grievance redressal. Now we are discussing about the civil service neutrality. Neutrality. What do you mean by neutrality and activism? See, there are some principles are given administration country across the world. The cardinal triumvirate principle of modern day administration are impartiality, anonymity, and neutrality. These three principles are Weberian principle of bureaucracy. The Weberian principle observes that the bureaucracy, being an instrument, should be impartial implementation of policy. The bureaucracy should be non-discriminatory and rather based on law of impartiality. It is very well established fact that bureaucracy is an instrument and should not taken up credit for its performance. It should also be free from the harassment and carry out the administration without any fear and hesitation. In other words, the bureaucracy should be faceless. It is elected political representative who are held accountable and given the credit for the good work. The bureaucrat, unlike politician, who as layman is body of expert, and the bureaucracy provide valuable input to the elected political representative. The bureaucracy, while formulating any policy related to the people, should not be driven by political leaning and agendas, and it literally means that bureaucracy has to neutral, and the bureaucracy per se should not carry any political color. The civil service neutrality is sine qua non for well functioning administrative system. It is very clear that civil service neutrality there should be a basis for civil service neutrality to retain the confidence of people, to retain the confidence of political master, to retain the confidence of bureaucracy and administration from being continuity. Civil service neutrality was established the Masterman Committee and United Kingdom. The concept became the civil service neutrality most of countries including the India. The concept of neutrality may be better understood by having a close look in relation between the civil service political master from evolutionary perspective. One may study the number of systems across the world, so developed country to understand the concept of neutrality in holistic manner. A number of scholars have expressed their view on neutrality. Some notable one are Rockman, Aberbeck, and Putnam. They have come out with a different perspective. First, in this stage, relationship between the civil service and political master was based on the principle of strict political administration dichotomy. It was believed that there was no meeting up point between politics, and administration, and both have the treated differently. The politics or the politics master were responsible formulating the law, nothing to do with the formulation of law by politician. The administration has just simply implemented the law formulated by the politician, and the means bureaucracy or not for the matter of administration divorced by the politics. The relation between the civil service and political master image aptly described through a statement. The civil service prospect ministry disposed civil service implements. By this bureaucracy began to play some role in formulating the process, and period of marked 1950 increased political roles of bureaucracy. However, the nature of the role of political master was still different from bureaucracy. Latter part of 21st century, the state popularly refers period of hybrid model. So 21st century is known as the hybrid model. Like Japan and France, the system of civil servant can contest an election for various political position. After then can come back to the occupy the previous offices. Germany, England, the secretary who occupied the highest echelon in the civil service. The bureaucracy usually tries to understand or empathize the political positions, and there are political masters who could sympathize, understand various intricacies of complications, implications. Role of civil servants and politicians were becoming more and more interchangeably performing more or less similar activities. What is the concept of neutrality? It is the Nehruvian era, then Indira Gandhi era, then civil service activism era. So Nehruvian era was based on the image of first to 20th century civil servant response, ministry dispose, and the civil servant implement. This phase history of Indian administration golden era, and R.N. Banerjee observed that there were no occasion of the subordinate embarrassment in initial days of Nehruvian phase. The civil servants used to operate with fearlessness, freedom, and commitment to law. The civil servants did not hesitate to oppose the politicians and where they are wrong. And Lobo Prabhu used to bluntly speak to politicians that doesn't want to get influence without having a look over the files. So Govind Narayan used to send private notes to the ministers. The ministers most of the case withdrew their files and modify the files in the right manner. Legacy of British system and Indian civil service was very powerful and autonomous. In addition to enjoyed complete freedom of functioning, Indian administration service after independence followed the ICS style of administration, and Nehruvian traditions and values was principle and values. In fact, the following tradition, principle, politics, there were many leaders, Lal Bahadur Shastri, Sardar Patel, G.V. Pant, Jai Prakash Narayan. One pertinent instance, Sardar Patel used to organize evening tea in which civil servants shared their view and opinion. So ensured that the officers and complete freedom and independence. He also provided full strength to the civil service, and principle got slowly diluted. The initial days of independence were marked national euphoria, hope and aspiration, and hope and aspiration were repeatedly shattered, and the poverty, literacy continued. In this scenario, the easiest space got was to bureaucracy. In some, the failure of whole administration system was attributed to failure of bureaucracy. Furthermore, 1967 the Congress faced the threat to losing the power of 14 states, and 8 states were non-Congress. This is the popularly referred as first political upsurge in Yogendra Yadav. This was the together had a deep impact to the Indian politics and administration. Now 1960 was the concept of neutral and committed bureaucracy emerged, and Indira, Morarji Desai, other political leaders believed that the neutral bureaucracy was obstructionist bringing about the indifferent attitude and status quo. They believed that the concept of neutral bureaucracy is irrelevant, and they voiced for committed bureaucracy. So, neutral bureaucracy was very much required, but actual practice bureaucracy were driven by political view and agenda of political masters. The argument supporting by the committed bureaucracy was that political parties voted for power. By voting the political party, the people have voted the political agendas, and the party enjoyed mandate of people. Thus, the civil servants were expected to support the political agenda, and this literally means politicization of civil service. In the Anician life, this was well expressed by the statement, "Without a murmur, they fall in line." And when asked to bend, it's begun to crowd. This was because the political master had the instrument to exploit the civil servant. And the political master used transparent posting as a tool to bend the resistance from the civil servant. Ultimately, civil servant become the political civil servant, and stage when civil servant began to anticipate that mind of minister. By early 1970, neutrality of civil servant completely fractured and expressed in the time of emergence, and this was the duly established by Shah Commission. At this juncture, a wave began to emerge: civil servants activism. A few civil servants began to oppose and expose the maladministration, corruption, and politician. G.R. Khernar of Mumbai came out with the public media and disclosed the 30 word. He was suspected and physically abused. Then Appu, director of Lal Bahadur Shastri, had to resign. On one IAS probationer was criminal minded, assaulted another probationer. So Appu wanted to terminate the particular probationer. However, the probationer and political backing of Appu could not be terminated, and he resigned from the civil service. Sanjay Pandey, or the Deputy Police Mumbai, was instrument of unearthly various financial schemes, economic offence. His reward was a slew of transfer to inconsequential posting. Nirmal Kumar Singh, Central Bureau of Investigation (DIG), monitored the before case and Hawala scandal, Fodder scandal, Jharkhand Mukti Morcha case. CBI almost 23 years handled the Kissa Kursi Ka case and the arrest Indira Gandhi during the Janata Party rule. After Janata victory 1989, Mr. Singh was assigned the Kit case. In the VP Singh son Ajay was alleged to have submitted a huge amount of money into the bank account, and signed probe the taping of the former Prime Minister Chandrasekhar telephone. Sanjay Kumar, Director Primary Education Haryana, wanted two teacher to be selected to the merit list. For this, he was transferred and later suspended. Though these civil servants were actually performing the duty, but this phase referred as civil service activism era. This is the because they did not remain the boundary of law, came out in the public to expose the disclosure thing. This bigger question looms large: whether civil service activism is desirable or undesirable. The view fact divided. Some are in favor and some are opposition. Many scholars are like supported civil service activism, and supported civil service activism were Nani Palkiwala and SS Tinekar. Palkiwala observed that Mr. G.R. Kherkar has done the right thing in the wrong way, but God forbid he should learn to do the wrong thing in the right way. Like or should unscrupulous politicians, by stating Palkiwala is literally supporting the civil service activism. According to Titnankar, the service teaches rule only to obey the superior and how to exploit the subordinate. The rule provides to no space of right people, and many scholars, as Tinekar, believe that admission system strangulate the good, and good are left with no choice. The truth is that there are only two options available: executive party to spoil or to oppose by the coming out in open. The good one choose to go out the law. There are also many scholars who are against the civil service activism. Some of them are D.R. Soman, D.T. Joseph, and Sauja. The scholar believed that though he intended to write the act of activism by civil servant may have serious consequences and ramifications, it may be bring discipline, chaos. Some may even break the service rules to become a short-lived popularity. The civil servant should not be party to spoil. The civil servant should be neutral to political influence but should not be apathetically indifferent to the political masters. The civil servant should remain neutral but committed to the ethos of constitution. One need not sacrifice integrity by being neutral. A neutral civil servant can be active civil servant. It is the method or approach that make difference. It simply words civil servant must put utmost effort to remain in the system, committed to constitutional ethos. B.G. Deshmukh, former cabinet secretary, believed that bureaucracy should not play with the politics, rather should understand how the politics works. They should be guided by the self-imposed code of conduct or by some broad principles. If at all they are restless, they quite resign and become social activists like Arvind Kejriwal, Aruna Roy. All said that done, it is very unfortunate that the character of continued and it rather become more politicized. So this whole chapter was about the civil service.